Been a hot minute since we've done something like this. Basically what I'm doing right now to get ready for chase season is I am working on getting the StormCruzzer, I guess you could call it the battery management system, getting all of that situated, wired up after I get these lights on. I still have to replace all these. I'm converting them all to LED, similar to those lights over there. And getting through all this crap is like a maze. But what was I saying? Yeah, StormCruzzer. So the Cruiser itself is at Mike's Tire getting worked on. There's a good bit of, we had a pretty long laundry list of stuff that we wanted to try to get done. And so Tyler himself has been working on that for a good bit. Now he's transitioning to working on our transmission, which we've had some issues with over the past 2 years. So finally buttoning that thing up, replacing some stuff within, and making sure it's going to be more reliable. That's one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did. And so thankful for him to be able to work on that and get it all ready. That's something that's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, especially on the scale that the StormCruzzer is on. It's a pretty big vehicle. So yeah, what I'm taking on basically is the electrical system. So I've invested in Red Arc. We had this system in our camper van that we were going to travel in. We don't have that. Well, we have the camper van, we just don't need this system in it anymore. So we thought, what better place to put this than in the StormCruzzer? So this is going to help us manage all our loads coming through the truck. And we will probably put all of this on auxiliary batteries that'll go in the back of the truck. And so the whole idea is to make sure that we're not pulling off the main battery when we don't need to. And we're able to power everything within the truck that's extra. So like Starlink, ham radio, the inverter itself, which can do just about anything. Let's see, what else do we run? You know, everyone charging equipment, my camera equipment, the laptops, just all that stuff, and the refrigerator that goes in the back. So all of that will be run through this Red Arc system. And so a couple things I'm working on is I'm going to pre-wire everything onto this board that I spray painted red, because I thought, well, that looks badass and it'll look good in the Cruiser too. So my idea is to pre-wire most of this that I can on this board, and then I'll actually mount the board in the back, probably on the front left compartment. And then we'll place the batteries actually within the back of the camper shell, and probably mount them somewhere underneath where this is going to be. It's got to be at least a foot away from the system itself, which that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm working on that. I need to acquire some batteries. I'm talking with a company, Battleborn, later today to see which battery they recommend. I've used their batteries before. They're pretty top-notch lithium-ion batteries. Usually way more reliable than most other batteries. So I'll talk to them today, see if we can get maybe a sponsorship of some kind. If not, we'll probably bite the bullet, I guess, because I do think it would be extremely helpful. Also, another thing that we're going to try to do, actually I'm going to have to do it. We talked a little bit in the past about building a center console for the middle row of seats, and I think the only way to put this inverter in the truck and ensure that it won't get water damage or anything like that is to build a box around it. So I thought maybe we just go ahead and build the center console throughout, incorporate this into it, and then we can wire up actual outlets through this. They've got to be GFIs, but I mean, that's not that big of a deal. That's actually a good idea for all the electronics that we run. So we'll wire this up in the back of the truck with the batteries. There'll be a wire that comes from this that goes to the inverter. And that way everything's kind of regulated. It'll all be on fuses and things like that. And hopefully better conserve energy and have free energy basically for the entirety of the trip. And hopefully be reliable. The last inverter we had, it didn't necessarily get fried, but it did fry my Starlink. So I was looking for ways to not have to deal with that again. And the key to that was to get a pure sine wave inverter instead of, you know, the conventional inverter. So we're gonna give all that a shot. Probably spent too much extra effort in doing this, probably too much money as well. But I think in the long run, we're gonna have good reliability, which is the key. So between Tyler getting the truck working and being reliable, I'm gonna do the same for the electrical system. I'll probably run into issues doing this because I'm not an electrical engineer by any means. So I'm very much learning. So I have all the manuals out, getting it right. So yeah, I'm gonna work on this, and I think it's gonna turn out pretty good. But we'll see. All right, so we've been decently hard at working on this new center console. It's going all right. I think we've got a basic shape for it. This looks a whole lot like a soapbox derby car. Hello, Nader. Looks a whole lot like a soapbox derby car, in my opinion, but it fits the mold that I made, and it should, fingers crossed, work out as a pretty decent center console, at least for now. I mean, I hope it just works, but we'll see. This is what I started with. That's my stencil that's now fell apart, and that's the real deal. So to give you a little bit more visuals, just kind of help you see it. Basically, this part will touch the current back of the front center console, which houses all the switches and stuff. So I made it low enough that those switches are still usable. Maybe we'll even power them from the back, from the red arc that we're messing with. And then my next plan is to run outlets into this from the inverter that will be in the rear center console that I still have to build as well. And then in addition to that, over the years we've had a lot of complaints from the back of the Cruiser as far as air control. So what I'm thinking of doing is adding some vents in this thing. And my source is going to be the vents that come out of the bottom of the passenger and driver seat of the truck. There are two vents in the floor, and they don't do a great job of moving air out. So what I'm thinking of doing is doing some duct work to pick up that airflow and then run it into the base of this, and then hooking these up. So I've got 4 of these, and I'm thinking I was going to put them in the top, but I don't really like the idea of things spilling into them. And if I put them here, obviously that's going to be facing the wrong direction, because I think the seat is about right here. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting it like right here. Or if we have to, maybe I'll make an adaptation of some kind just for a vent somewhere in here. But I'm thinking this is going to be our best bet. That way you can force air up. And then either right here on this part or right there. Probably right there, because then the back seat gets direct airflow, which would be the most important part. The middle seat, you're kind of just getting a little bit of all the airflow. Back seat really gets nothing. So I think these will be a hit. I think this will be pretty sweet. My other idea that I have that I kind of would really like to do is in the front, obviously we have the mount for the laptop and all that stuff. And so I'm going to incorporate some kind of mount into the front of this and into the rear of it, just so the people in the middle and back row, let's say if they have a laptop, or maybe for now I'll put like an iPad mount. And so that way everyone can be looking at data and helping out, and it's not solely on the front. And maybe this will help, you know. I think over the years, most everybody else has been like on a cell phone. Maybe giving people the ability to have a laptop out, or an iPad or something like that, and just mount it to this. We'll give everybody the ability to give us input, maybe better input than we had before. I'm not saying anybody's input was bad. I'm just saying more information that's easily able to be gotten will come in handy, I think. The other things that I'm going to do in this rear part of the center console for the back. So what I'm thinking, I think I mentioned this already, is we're going to rip the back seat out. Tyler Guy has 2 chairs that can work as the rear seats. They'll be independent. So we'll no longer have a space to take a nap. That part sucks. But this will allow everyone to kind of have their own space. This center console will be able to hold the inverter and keep it safe from water damage and things like that, dust. But I'm also thinking of incorporating into the very back wall of the truck maybe the communications box, which will house the Starlink modem, as well as maybe some of the booster stuff for the cellular devices. So I've been talking with this company, ISP Tech, and they actually make a box that services not only the Starlink can be incorporated into it, but also I think Verizon, T-Mobile, and maybe another one. I can't remember if there is or not. But they basically, it is able to take all that data information, pick the one that has the best service, and allocate all your data through that. So the hope is we'll never lose connectivity while we're streaming, and everyone will be able to get data constantly on the cell phones, on the laptops, all that stuff. And so I think this is all going to work, but obviously we got to put it all together and go from there. So yeah, that's the most recent update. Center console, still a good bit of work to do. It looks a little janky, I'm not gonna lie to you, and that's because the welds on the ground of the truck are not gonna be even, and so that's the clearance that we had for those parts based off the template that I used. And so we'll see how it fits. I'm guaranteeing I'm gonna have to take it out a few more times and make some adjustment cuts once it's all said and done. But I think this is gonna turn out pretty good. I haven't decided whether I'm going to spray paint it or clear coat it or what. But I am probably going to cover the outside of it, at least parts of it, with this stuff. Can't even remember what this is called. It's just carpet tiles. I thought maybe this would be good for sound deflection. At some point, we also need to do the sound dampening. We have a bunch of those tiles in the back of the truck that we need to put underneath everything, but we're not there yet. So one step at a time. We can only make so many improvements before chase season starts. I've got a month, and so time's ticking. So as soon as I get this finished, I'm gonna run that over to Mike's Tire and maybe install it in the truck, or at least see if it'll work while they're still working on figuring out our fuel issues, maybe even messing with the transmission a little bit. We'll see on that. So yeah, that's a pretty good update. All right, here's a new update, because I've spent way too long thinking about this and trying to plan it. So here's what I'm thinking now. I'm thinking this all is going to fit perfectly if the floor allows for everything to hook up. So this is our inverter, and so that'll be powered from the back of the truck. So coming through the back wall, run through here, and then what I've decided I'm going to do, instead of putting these boxes here on the sides where people can plug into this and you can kick the plugs or break them because they're at your feet basically. I'm going to put them in here in this space that's, I don't know, just kind of tucked out of the way. I didn't really mean for it to work that way, but I think this is going to work the best. So I think I'm going to tuck both of these, one there and then one in the front for the middle two seats. I think I'm going to do that there. And I think that's going to alleviate the potential for things to. All right, I'm going to do this quick because the GoPro keeps shutting off. In addition to setting those in the front and the back, I'm going to mount these either here, or if there's enough room, I'm going to slide this back and I'm going to put these here. I'm really not sure how these are going to work just yet, but I think it'll be pretty. All right, so a little bit of an update on this bad boy. I can't even remember what the last update looked like, but I've got these two top pieces all cut out, routed the edges, so nice and smooth. Probably gonna sand those, probably do another, maybe some finishing stain to match the top. That is if I don't spray paint it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to stain it though. Some of the trim in the StormCruzzer is this color from when it was, I don't know, the original package as it came. So I also cut this to fit the hole and have a mounting plate. So when all this is put together, this will just sit down in there and we'll put 2 screws in there. Might add another plate just for, I don't know, stability purposes. But probably I'm just going to keep it like that, I think. That'll work pretty good. And that should make it all stable. I haven't cut out the holes yet for the air system in this just yet because I'm not convinced it's going to work. I have yet to find actual tubing that will work with this, even though it's, you know, it's got to be a thing or else they wouldn't sell these. So still on the prowl for those. I did also make this back box, at least the skeleton part of it. So that'll house the inverter And I cut the face out so you'll be able to get good airflow for the inverter itself. And yeah, I just got to do that, run these wires or pre-run the wires and everything. And we should be good. I do think I'm going to carpet the outside of this, at least on these edges right here. So I've been playing around with this stuff. You can buy it in squares. I wanted to see if it would stick. Obviously not sticking too well. Okay, maybe not doing that. Although it sticks at the top. I don't know, that might need some help. But I thought maybe that would work better for maybe soundproofing. Adding wood in the middle of the car might, I don't know, make things a little louder. So we'll play with that a little bit. Although I'm running out of time, so maybe not. In this, I'm gonna finish sanding, stain it. Maybe spray paint the exterior of this with like a, almost like a gray, or I think it's like a tanner color. Something to match the seats and all the trim and everything like that. So we'll give all that a shot. I'm not gonna worry too much about the appearances. I'm just trying to go for usability. And so the other thing that I have to do is I need to build a box similar to how I did this. I should have kept more on this piece so I could cut it out at an angle similar to this. But I need that so we can mount some cup holders back here as well. Because who doesn't love cup holders? I love cup holders.